I take great exception to the nature of this debate because I don't wake up this early in the morning so that I can come to be lectured by Khalwale and Mwangangi, because we are here to debate issues. Don't debate the person, just debate the issues. I am going to give my views the way that I see them. You can give your views. It cannot be about me. Khalwale expresses disappointment every day that I have all this education and gee what. I did not go to school to please Khalwale. And I am entitled to use my education because it's my father and mother who paid for it in the manner that I deem fit. You use yours in the manner in which you deem fit. Number two, my brother Mwangangi, there is a great philosopher called Ice Cube. He sang a song, if you're scared, go to church. There is no problem. You go to church on Monday. We don't have a problem with you going to church. I'm also Catholic. In fact, I will tell you a story of what we discussed yesterday with the Archbishop of Nairobi when we get to it. But I want you to know that there was a supplementary budget that was passed just last week in the National Assembly. You cannot continue telling us that the budget that is in place right now is a budget by the previous administration. We want this country to move. We want this administration to stop looking behind for excuses and reasons as to why it cannot deliver for the people of Kenya. If you are saying that the people who are coming to Maandamano are unemployed, employ them. You promised that you would create employment opportunities for these people. Employ them. Which Maandamano is this that has happened between the time you put the Bible down and now that has stopped you from creating these employment opportunities for the young people? What has stopped you from dealing with the question of debt? They promised us, Trevor, that they would stop borrowing. They brought to us a budget policy statement that has a budget deficit of almost 700 billion shillings that they promise or are planning to borrow. Now, I want to be clear because we need to finish this discussion. Nobody, again, in Azimio has asked anybody on the other side for a handshake. We are not interested. When you say we are questioning one order and the other, and the same Khalwale knows very well, it is the president, it is his deputy who are also running around with a recent decision of the Supreme Court questioning it. I can assure you, Trevor, that every single thing that is done in this country is amenable to scrutiny. That is the nature of our democracy, and you cannot stop people from asking questions about certain things. Then we have been told that the prices of foodstuffs were very high when they got in. They attribute this every problem we have to this monster called the handshake government. I am a student of history. I know there have been 5 governments in this country. There was the Kenyatta government, the Kenyatta administration, the Moi administration under KANU. Then we had the Kibaki government under NAC, then PNU. Then we came to the Kenyatta administration under Jubilee. From 2013 to 2022, the president of the republic was Uhuru Kenyatta. The deputy president of the republic was William Ruto. So when you tell us about this monster called the handshake government, I don't remember ever campaigning for a handshake party or asking Kenyans to vote for a handshake party. This is an excuse that has been used over and over again to cover for the sins of William Ruto and the Jubilee administration. I remember, Trevor, because I was a candidate here in Nairobi, going to buy unga at Naivas supermarket for 100 shillings following the subsidies that were put in place by the Uhuru Kenyatta administration. I remember doing it. So when you came in, Khalwale, unga was at 100 shillings. We have photographs. And you know, Trevor, in the Senate, they say, whatever you say, you must substantiate. I want you to be insisting on substantiation. I have said things here. I have asked you to play a clip of something that Gachagua said. You are shying away from it because you know it's a truth.
It is coming.
It is there. Please, I thank you. Even on the question of the food, you people in the media remember very well. Yes, there were problems with availability, the distribution networks, even the members of the Milling Association were in Parliament recently. I remember buying unga at 100 shillings days to the election because there was a subsidy. We have asked for the reinstatement of those subsidies and they have refused to bring back those subsidies. He asked us who has locked us out of the debate on IEBC. I have explained time without number that the process of constituting the electoral body is what gives confidence to the public that in fact it is going to be a fair process when we come to the election. He has told us that there was a robust debate on the House. And indeed, I made submissions on that floor. And I made the comparison, Trevor, that in fact, when you have a conversation about constituting an elective body, the greatest stakeholders are the political players. You cannot ignore people who are more than half of the country in terms of their support. Even if we were to use the IEBC figures, the contested figures of this last election, William Ruto scraped through by 200,000 votes, according to the Supreme Court. I am telling you that that is not a mandate which can give you the strength to ignore everybody else. You cannot ignore us. We went through the process of how this panel was constituted. And these so-called numbers that they have in parliament, they know how they achieved them. They achieved them by, stealing, basically, buying off members of parliament. Basically buying off members of parliament. If we had retained the same numbers that were there in the House, the Azimio would be the majority. But you know what has happened. Then they use that majority to pass a law that is clearly defective, a law that is an unjust law. We have no responsibility to obey a law that is unjust. And I will give you the breakdown, once again, for his benefit. Number one, he says that nobody has locked us out of this process. They bludgeoned the law through. They signed the law into the bill into law. Then the law provides that you have 2 representatives of the Parliamentary Service Commission. We begged them to redo the text of that particular provision so that it is clear that there is a representative of the minority side and the representative of the majority side. Up to now, and Khalwale says we are represented there, I want him to tell us, out of those 7 panelists, which name was forwarded by us? Let him tell us here, because he needs to substantiate. When you talk about the religious leaders, we ask them, this monster called the Interreligious Council, where does it exist? Who are these people? They refuse to tell us. They have nominated 2 people. Yesterday, I was with the Archbishop of Nairobi of the Catholic Church. I don't want to say I'm a better Catholic than Mwangangi, but I am also a Catholic. I don't think there's anyone who's better Catholic than the other. And the bishop confirmed to me that, in fact, the Catholic Church, of which I'm a member, was not consulted when those 2 names were presented as a representative of the Interreligious Council. So you have the entire Catholic Church in Kenya not participating or represented on this particular panel. Then we come to the representative of the PSC. I have said here that the representative of the Public Service Commission is a representative of the executive, because these are the appointees of the executive. They are an extension of the executive. I can tell you for a fact, even the PPLC, we said we were not going to participate in that fast because you have 1 person there and the guy has 6. What are you doing? So out of the 7 people, that are on that panel, Trevor, only 1 can be said to have been nominated by a party that is not directly related to the president, and that is the representative of the LSK. What we have is a situation where a selection panel is going to be at the beck and call of the current regime, and yet we are supposed to have a fair contest in 2022. We must speak about these things.